Hello there, welcome to CoreTV News at 4. I am Gete. The Nigerian army has disproved claims of an alleged massacre of civilians in Kukuwagari, Yobe State. Local and international news reports citing eyewitness accounts had said about 150 people were either killed or drowned in an attempt to escape from Boko Haram insurgents. But the army insists through its Twitter handle that it was a fabricated story that cannot be substantiated. Meanwhile, Nigerian troops on Tuesday evening engaged insurgents in a gun battle in Gwoza. The army said in a statement that the terrorists were fleeing aerial bombardment in Sambisa forest in 7 pickup vans and motorcycle when the soldiers engaged them. It ordered that a number of the Boko Haram members were killed in the shootout, while their vehicles and armed were destroyed. The army authorities say one of the pickup vans, a motorcycle, and 2 AK-47 rifles, as well as large stock of ammunition, were recovered. President Muhammadu Buhari says he is prepared to reverse or abandon some policies he inherited in order to create more jobs for Nigerians. He has consequently directed the central bank and relevant government agencies to evolve new policies to boost domestic manufacturing ahead of the 2016 budget. President Buhari made this known at a meeting with the executive members of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, at the presidential villa. The Bring Back Our Girls group has outlined the week-long activities to commemorate 500 days to 219 secondary school girls abducted by insurgents from Chibok, Borno State. The initiative tagged Global Week of Action is to begin on Friday, August 21st and climax on August 27th, the day the girls would be spending 500 days in captivity. Members of the Porters movement are, however, hopeful that the girls would be rescued before the day. The group hinged the optimism on what they described as the pragmatic steps taken by the Buhari administration.
However, in the last few weeks, we have had cause for a rekindled hope. Our confidence boosted, and we are more assured that sooner than later our girls shall return. This as a result of some pragmatic steps our government has been taking recently. Our new president's December 2015 deadline to have the terrorists decimated, what we see as compliance by our military of the presidential order to annihilate the terrorists by November 2015, and so on and so forth. Even though ever hopeful and expectant of their rescue before the day 500, which is 27th August 2015, we have organized a global week of action to commemorate the tragedy of their abduction. This Friday, 21st August 2015, marks the beginning of our global week of action, themed 500 Days On, Chibok Girls Crying to be Rescued, Never to be Forgotten.
Outgoing Controller General of Customs Diko Abdullahi says he is leaving a service that is capable of sustaining itself amidst limited resources. He's also pointing at the Customs Hospital in Karu, Abuja, as one of the legacies he is leaving behind after 6 years in charge. The hospital was commissioned by Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai.
And the levels of equipment and organization of the facility, it is a very, very impressive teaching hospital. I think the best way to put this edifice to use is to affiliate it with a university and make it a teaching hospital. It is perhaps the most well-equipped hospital I have seen in Nigeria, and it is as equipped as anyone I have seen anywhere in the world. And I think the Nigerian Customs Service should be commended for this effort. And it is not the money, as I was explaining to the CG and commending him. There are many organizations in Nigeria that have the money to do this, but lack the leadership, the focus, and the commitment. It is commitment that is needed, and I think that's the difference, and I want to congratulate the CGC and the Customs Service for this. This is perhaps the best hospital in the Federal Capital Territory.
I want to be remembered as an ordinary Nigerian who has an opportunity to serve his nation, and I serve my nation diligently. Well, we cannot say because still the project is ongoing, because we have a dialysis center that we have not yet completed.
The Taraba state government has issued a warning to the warring communities of Jugun, Fulani and Tiv in Wukari to stop what it described as senseless killing in the name of protecting tribe or religion. Governor Dixon Ishiaku, who visited the area for an interactive meeting with the leadership of the three communities, emphasized on genuine forgiveness and reconciliation. This, he noted, is necessary for an atmosphere for development to set in. The immediate past governor of Lagos, Babatunde Fashola, has identified planning as a critical factor for any developing nation. Fashola emphasized this at the public presentation of some books authored by his special advisor on media, Hakim Bello, to chronicle his accomplishment while in office. Abiola Oluwole has more.
Though the event was meant for the launching of books written in honor of his administration, it was an avenue for former Governor Babatunde Fashola to speak on some national issues. Fashola, who says planning is key to the development of any nation, maintained that effective census figure plays a critical role in understanding the needs of the people.
If the work of government is to provide service to people, its efficiency will be determined by its knowledge of how many people need service. And therefore, without accurate census figures, it may seem that we are not determined to head in the path of development. So the numbers have changed from 160 million to 170 million, and sometimes you now hear 180 million.
Senate President Bukola Saraki, who was represented by Gbenga Makanjuola, and Tunde Samuel, who represented APC national leader Bola Tinubu, attributed Fashola's success in office to intellectual ability and his belief in tenets of democracy.
His stewardship and service as a former governor of Lagos State speaks for itself. His breakthrough in the realm of governance in Lagos State and the attendant success and achievement recorded therefrom is an attestation that he is an administrator par excellence. I have no doubt that Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola deserves more than this book presentation today. He came, he saw, he worked, and he achieved.
I want to congratulate Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola for coming out today to let all Lagosians, all Nigerians, see clearly that Ashiwaju has taken a very valid decision in bringing you up to be the Chief of Staff, the Governor of Lagos State in the first 4 years, the Governor of Lagos State in the second 4 years, and now I am confident that the sky is the limit for you.
To the special advisor of former Governor Fashola on media, Hakim Bello, the books will make it possible for future leaders to have a prior knowledge of governance.
These three books, therefore, I have endeavored, along with my friend and lovely brother, Mr. Akwadedi, I've endeavored to put together some of his memorable words and works in print. It is my hope that through them, readers will get a glimpse into ideas that power his action and fire the imagination of those aspiring to leadership.
The books, titled The Great Leap in bold print and the Lagos Blowdown were co-authored by Special Advisor to former Governor Fashola on Media, Akim Bello, and Dapo Adeniyi to document strides of the last administration in Lagos State. Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News, Lagos.
It's CoreTV News at 4. We'll take this break. Stay with us.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
You should be careful about what you say.
I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it is time to forgive me.
Political Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Welcome back now for more on CoreTV News. You can reach us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Twitter at CoreTV News. And on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV News. The investigation into the murder of the late Catholic priest Dennis Oswago in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has revealed that his is just one of several cases. CoreTV's Imo correspondent Ajibade Awofeso has been following the story. He has more in this report. We do apologize, we cannot bring you the report immediately. We'll sort it out and bring it to you subsequently. About 500 workers shut down the Calabar office of the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company over their welfare. The aggrieved workers vowed that the office would remain closed until their grievances were met. The workers carried placards with inscriptions explaining the rationale behind the workers' action. The state chairman of the National Union of Electricity Employees, Asukoita, who spoke alongside his colleague in the private sector arm of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Kalu Imong, accused the management of PHEDC of failing to look into workers' plight. Imong also stated specifically that the workers were not happy with the management because it had failed to compensate the family of one of their colleagues who was electrocuted in Ikori, Yaka local government area of the state while on duty. Efforts to reach the business manager of the Calabar office of PHEDC, Mr. Emeka Otigi, failed as he neither picked calls nor responded to text messages on his mobile phone as of the time of filing this report. The perennial crisis in Plateau State that defied several interventions for over a decade has recently soared after the 2015 general elections. The Berom and the Fulani recently claimed that several members of their tribes had been targeted and killed by their neighbors. Plateau State correspondent has the details.
On the following day, on Monday, 3 persons going to market from Saminaka local government to Yelwashandam in Plateau State, they attacked them there, slaughtered the 3 of them, and then threw their corpses outside, which the following day, on that very day, their corpses were recovered by the DPO of Barikiladi local government.
That is not true. I want to tell you that in Bisichi, they were the ones that blocked the route. They killed people, including the Biroms.
As the mutual suspicion persists between the Fulanese and the Berom people, the core of the matter began to surface. The struggle for arable land has been behind the unending communal clashes.
The area. Why? That is their own agenda. That is the agenda. And this agenda must be fought for. Because we should not allow this agenda. Every Nigerian has a right to come and live in Plateau.
The Fulani agenda is to take over the Birom land. And that is why I told you from the beginning that there is an illegal migration of other Fulanis from other parts of the country, from outside the country, to come and take over land.
As our forefathers died on this land, buried in this land, we will stay this and finish our life here and die here and buried a peaceful burial on our land. That is it.
The state government to please take serious actions to curtail this act, because we are citizens of the same country and we have the same right of existence and of security being provided by the government.
Pastor's parents has shown that the resolve to live peacefully often lies with neighbors. The use of military force and external intervention are temporary measures. The onus now is on the warring parties in Plateau State to agree to live peacefully, just as their forefathers had done in the past.
The Acting Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Haruna Baba Juaro, has described the partnership between the agency and the Nigerian Navy as beneficial to the growth and development of the maritime sector and the nation at large. The DG has stated this during the promotion and shipping of stripes of Sergeant Lieutenant Commander Hamid Achaka, an officer of the Nigerian Navy posted to the Maritime Guard Command MGC at the headquarters of the agency, noted that the Memorandum of Understanding MOU with the Nigerian Navy, which midwifed the MGC, has helped to boost security and surveillance activities on the nation's territorial waterways. He further pledged the agency's commitment to ensuring that Nigeria becomes a safe place for business activities to thrive, thereby achieving the status of being the maritime hub in Africa. While describing the newly promoted officer as a disciplined, modest and hard-working officer, Juaro advised him not to relent on his commitment to his duties and service to the country. The Kaduna State government has announced plans to introduce an harmonized feeding system for all boarding schools in the state. Commissioner for Education, Shehu Usman, said it is because of reports of a poor meal which have sometimes led to health hazards. He noted under the new feeding arrangements, same meal will be served to students as breakfast, lunch and dinner. The Education Commissioner added that if students in the state are to be served rice as lunch, every boarding school will serve the same meal. This, he explained, is to make it easier for inspectors to identify which school serves rice that is below standard. The Nigeria Communications Commission (NCC) says the use of unregistered SIM cards is a huge threat to national security in the country. Speaking at the press conference, Idehin Efosa, head monitoring NCC, said compliance monitoring has been conducted on all mobile networks, adding that the next stage is enforcement and sanctions of the faulters, a tax that will be executed alongside the National Security Agency.
By 11th of this month, all invalid, improperly registered and unregistered SIM card that are active within any network in Nigeria should be deactivated, and that henceforth all registrations of any SIM card must comply fully with the specification as it regards to facial images, fingerprints, and all other agreed specification in the SIM reg and its business rules. This is a compliance check, but the enforcement proper will go according to the specification of our regulation. That is, going forward, our enforcement unit will visit all the operators, and physically demand that all those numbers that fall within these categories be removed from the system. We are working hand in hand with the National Security Advisor on this issue because it is no longer business as usual.
The Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, is seeking an increase in its statutory tax collection on its behalf by the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, from 2 to 4%. TET Fund Executive Secretary Sulaiman Bogoro made the appeal at the stakeholders' meetings in Abuja. He explained that an increase in the funds, according to the agency, will help in expanding its scope of intervention from tertiary down to the basic level of the nation education
In
sector.
a recent report by the Ministry of Education to Mr. President, the case was made for increase in the 2% education tax collection by Federal Inland Revenue to have a law that raises it to 3 to even 4%. We are supportive. We believe that with what we've done, and if you've noticed now, we said some 5 years ago there was no African university ranked among the top 100 in Africa. That was embarrassing enough. Today, because of aggressive intervention, concentration of government attention on our public tertiary institutions, and with massively the support of TED Fund, we now have 28 Nigerian universities ranked among the top 100 in Africa.
You're watching CoreTV News. At 4, we'll take another break. Please stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. It's CoreTV News at 4. The Rivers State Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has rejected the request of All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Dakuku Peter-Side to have election materials used in the state transferred to Abuja for inspection. Justice Muazu Pendiga, a led three-man panel, dismissed the request on the grounds that the issue had been earlier dealt with. He recalled that the tribunal had made an error on June 11th, directing INEC to allow the petitioner to access the election materials comprising
the motion that is now going to stay execution of his order of inspection. I struck it out. But at the same time, in another, in response to another motion, he held that the issue of taking the documents from Port Harcourt to Abuja has already been dealt with in his order relating to inspection, and that therefore that particular motion was struck out.
Some of the rulings were deferred till the hearing of the substantive matter. So the tribunal held that that application by us has become overtaken by events. We agree with that. The other ruling they gave, which was not in our favor, is the one for the transfer of materials from Port Harcourt to Abuja. But there's no problem with that because INEC is a party in the matter. We have other means of compelling INEC to bring the materials that they use in the conduct of the election.
Residents in 4 states in the South will experience blackout from today as workers of the Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company commenced an indefinite strike over alleged unfair labor practices. The National Union of Electricity Employees on Monday directed workers of the company to shut power supply to those states with effect from Tuesday. The directive by the leadership of the union was said to be due to the alleged sacking and reduction in salaries of the union activist by the PHEDC. Given the directive, the General Secretary, Noe Joseph Ajearo, says the workers should halt all electricity transmission and distribution operations of the PHEDC. He also asked the workers to picket the company's offices across the 4 states until further notice. He added that the union had been silent over the alleged impunity and abuse of workers' rights for over 2 years. Ajero said the workers could no longer tolerate the alleged unfair labor practices, adding that it was time for the labor union to stop the abuse of workers' rights and make the PHEDC management to face the reality that they will not render any services to the company until we direct otherwise. Senate leader Ali Ndume has explained why his colleagues in the upper chamber were pushing for fresh bailout for the domestic airlines operators in the country, despite the fact that the previous one granted to them by the last administration was allegedly mismanaged. There have been public outcries against the move since stakeholders in the sector started canvassing fresh bailout recently. Because of the alleged mismanagement of funds made available to the operators between 2009 and 2012. But Ndume, in an interview with newsmen in Abuja, explained that the Senate is worried that there is an impending crisis in the aviation sector at the moment, especially when the operators were already demanding an urgent federal government assistance. Has said that the Senate could not insist that the beneficiaries of the multi-billion-dollar bailouts granted by the last administration must refund them first before the serious-minded people genuinely running the business could be supported. The Senate leader maintained that the Senate President Bukola Saraki decided to set up an ad hoc committee on aviation last week in order to carry out an overview of the current situation in the subsector with a view to recommending measures to avert possible crisis in the nearest future. Video footage has emerged of a key suspect police wants to question in connection with a deadly bomb blast in the Thai capital, Bangkok. The footage from a CCTV camera shows a man in a yellow shirt leaving a backpack in the Era 1 Hindu shrine. At least 20 people died in Monday's blast, about half of them foreigners, and more than 120 were injured in a separate attack on Tuesday. An explosive device was thrown at a pier in Bangkok, but no one was hurt. Nationals from China, Hong Kong, the UK, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore among the foreigners killed in the attack. In the new footage, he is shown carefully and deliberately removing his backpack inside the shrine, getting up without it and immediately leaving the scene. The spot where he was sitting is precisely where the bomb went off a few minutes later, says the BBC Jonathan Head in Bangkok. Islamic environmental and religious leaders have called on rich countries and oil-producing nations to end fossil fuel use by 2050. The Islamic Climate Declaration says that the world's 1.6 billion Muslims have a religious duty to fight climate change. It urges politicians to agree on new 30 to limit global warming to 2°C. The declaration is like a trigger to say, wake up wherever you are, wake up and take care of the earth. Fazlun Khalid, Islamic Foundation for Ecology and Environmental Science, drafted at an international symposium in Istanbul. The declaration calls for all people, leaders and businesses to commit to 100% renewable energy. It also urges for increased financial support for communities vulnerable to climate change. The call has been supported by religious leaders, including the Grand Muftis of Uganda and Lebanon, the president of Indonesia's major body of religious scholars, as well as environmental group and government officials from Morocco and Turkey. And now to sports. Super Eagles on Tuesday had its first 2 training sessions under coach Sunday Olise. This is in preparation the African Nation Cup qualifying match against Tanzania scheduled for next month. Basaye witnessed the evening session at the Abuja National Stadium. Our report.
Few hours after his return to the country, Coach Olise held his first session with the home-based players invited for the forthcoming game against Tanzania. The morning session was an open event, but the second was closed to the media because it was said to be a tactical session. But while the players and the team handlers are making efforts to plug all loopholes, football analysts are speaking on expectation.
Well, I think we can pick a win. we can pick a definite win in Tanzania. All we need to do is just to get our acts together. Remember that we have to play a very, very compact team. They are a team that have prepared so much ahead. They even went on a European tour just for the Super Eagles to, to frustrate us. And I think this time around, the NFF must get the traveling arrangements right. They must arrive there on time, acclimatize themselves to the weather conditions, make sure that they understand everything. And as for the coaching crew, they just need to concentrate. And to Coach Sunday Olise, I just want him to know that, look, a lot has been said, so many titles, the Pep Guardiola of Africa, the Arsene Wenger we want him to be original. Give us your best. We want you to be the Sunday Olise of Nigeria.
There is no gainsaying the football fans and supporters in Nigeria expect success from the Super Eagles. But many agree that these are still early days. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And that wraps our news for this hour. Thank you for watching. Join us again. I am Gift Okete. Good evening.